to the Info Center sa Tibo. Nagpatawag po kami ng press conference upang bigyan kayo ng update tungkol sa nangyaring magnitude 7.4 earthquake sa offshore of Davao Oriental. Tayo ngayon po ay kasalukuyan nasa Zoom also. We are live on Zoom. And we are also doing the press conference in Tibo, Quezon City. Ako po si Charmaine Villamil ng UST Tibo. At kasama po natin ngayong umaga, ngayong hapon, si Dr. Teresito Bacolcol, ang director po ng UST Tibo. Ganun din po si Dr. Michelle Sevilla, ang hepe po ng Seismological Observation and Earthquake Prediction Division. Kung ba magbigay po sa atin ng update, ito po ang kanyang presentation.
Saan mo present dyan? Okay.
Simula na ba?
Wala
kang
problema,
marinig.
Good afternoon. Okay, so I'll make a brief presentation about what transpired this morning at 9:43 a.m. So, next slide, please. Okay, so we have, these are the basic facts about that event. It's a magnitude 7.4 earthquake. It happened at 9:43 a.m. And the location is 46 kilometers north, 87 east of Manay in Davao Oriental. And the depth of that event is 23 kilometers. So this is the map showing the location, the epicenter of that event. This is derived from our earthquake bulletin number 3. Okay, so these are the aftershocks of that event. So the highest this is the intensity of that event. So the highest intensity that we recorded is intensity 5. This is in Compostela, Maco, Mawab, Moncayo, Monte Vista, Nabunturan, and Pantucan in Davao de Oro. We also have in Asuncion, Braulo, Duhale, Carmen, New Corelia, and in Panaco City, also intensified. Intensified into my island garden of Samal, in Santo Tomas, and in Tagum City, also intensified. Sa may Davao City, sa may Jose Abad Santos in Davao Occidental, Katil and Mati City in Davao Oriental, also intensified. And in Kidapawan City, in Cotabato, in Alabel, Glan, and in Malongon, in Sarangani, intensified also. In Coronadal City, in Tampakan, and in Tupig, in South Cotabato, also intensified. As well as in General Santos City, Butuan City, in Claver, Gigapit, and Mainit in Surigao del Norte, intensified. So, yun yung pinakamataas na intensity na i-record natin. Okay, so, hindi ko na babanggitin, isa-isa. We also have, kahit sa ating instrument of intensity, ang pinakamataas is also intensified. And again, based on its magnitude as well as its depth, we expect damage and we also expect aftershocks. And so far we have recorded, this is as of 1 p.m. we already have recorded 179, and 10 of these aftershocks, out of the 179, 10 of these are felt. And the highest aftershock that we recorded is magnitude 5.8. Okay, so following that event, we also issued a tsunami warning, saying that based on our simulation, pwede magkaroon ng tsunami waves as high as more than 1 meter. And the tsunami waves are expected to arrive between 9:43 to 11:43. And we also recommended that coastal communities on the following provinces need to be evacuated from eastern Samar, Dinagat Islands, Davao Oriental, Southern Leyte, Surigao del Norte, Leyte, and Surigao del Sur. Okay, so this is the tsunami information warning that we issued showing the map. Okay, and tsunami waves have been recorded along the eastern coastline of Tandan City with a height of approximately 30 centimeters at around 10:20 a.m. So 30 centimeters, that is not considered as destructive. This is based on the data from PVOC Sea Level Monitoring Station. And again, we have different trenches around the Philippines. We have 6 active trenches. We have the Negros Trench. The Philippine Trench is the one that produced this one. Okay, so we have the Negros Trench. Pwedeng ayun. Ayun. Okay. Ha?
Next na or?
Hindi, ayun yung point. Point para lang at makita nila. Okay, so first we have the East Luzon Trough on the northeastern side of the Philippines. Ituro na lang. Ituro na lang. Sige. So we have the East Luzon Trough.
Ako na lang mag-show.
Okay, we have the Philippine Trench, the Manila Trench, Negros Trench, Sulu Trench, and then Cotabato Trench. And my segmentation yan, so each segment is capable of, we have our modeling, and each segment may generate earthquakes. Okay, so this is from our, we have historical earthquakes on that area. It would have, mas maganda sana kung may year. And, but based on our historical records, we have a magnitude 8.3 event in 1924, almost on the same area where no, it's 1992, we have a magnitude 7.1 also, almost on the same area where the magnitude 7.4 event happened. We also have another event in 1921, again magnitude 7.5. We have another event in 1929, magnitude 7.2. This is all along the Philippine Trench. And then we also have another one in 1952, magnitude 7.6. And in 1924, magnitude 8.3. Okay, so right now we have paano namin na-record yung mga earthquakes natin. So we have 125 seismic stations all over the country. And we also have 7 observatories. So lahat yan nakakapag-record ng mga earthquakes natin. That's the reason why nagbabago yung magnitude natin, because as we get more information coming from our seismic stations, we revise our calculations. Okay, so this is just a map showing our staff control stations. And these are the locations of our satellite telemeter seismic stations in Mindanao. And we also have a tsunami network. The Philippine Tsunami Network consists of 90 JICA sea level stations and 10 tsunami early warning systems and 53 community tsunami alerting stations, which are strategically distributed for effective tsunami monitoring and communication system in the Philippines. Okay, so these are the location of our tsunami alerting stations, as well as our community tsunami alerting stations. And this one will show us the different active faults and trenches in the Philippines. And basically, that's it.
Thank you, Director Bacolod. Before we proceed to the open forum, I'd like to acknowledge our media participants who are joining us on site at PVOC Quezon City. We have ABS-CBN, GMA7, DZBB, PTV, PRTV, TV5, DTV, DWIZ, Manila Bulletin, UNTV, and those who were not mentioned, welcome to our press conference. We are also joined by the following via our Zoom. We have XNI, DCAR Radio, Inquirer, NHK, One News, One PH. We also have UNTV, News Watch Plus, USTV, GMA, and PIA, and other agencies, government agencies, NDRFP member agencies, the Office of Civil Defense, and the various regional offices, DOH, DILG, DOST, and all our Zoom participants. Welcome to our press conference. If you have questions via Zoom, please just type in the chat box. Kunin po namin lahat yan. As for the moment, we are going to open the floor for questions from our on-site audience to have order, no? Ms. Arlen will help me pinpoint the sequence of the medium will be asking questions. Please, when you ask questions, state your name and the station you are representing. I saw a raise of hand, sir, and then next, ma'am.
Producer over me. I just want to ask her, because other countries reported, they already listed their tsunami advices warning sa Pilipinas.
Okay, so meron kasi tayong SOP. We lift the tsunami advisory, tsunami warning 2 hours after the end time, which is for this case it's 11:43. So we have to wait until 1:43 for us to lift the tsunami advisory. Okay? That's a part of our, although alam naman natin na wala nang nangyari, but again we have to follow our SOP.
Follow up po, during that 2 hours and after the 2 hours, meron ba tayong monitor na sea level change rise po dun sa areas na taas tayo ng tsunami warning?
Okay, so yung kanina sa Tandag, meron tayong 30 centimeters nakita natin sa ating sea tide gauge, sea level gauge.
Okay, so ulitin ko lang po, no, although the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center in Hawaii lifted the tsunami warning, we have an SOP in PVOX to wait for 2 hours more to make sure that there is no more threat kasi localized po ang condition. So it's around 1:43 in the afternoon bago po kami release ng cancellation of the tsunami warning. But that's cancellation of the recommended actions corresponding to the tsunami warning that we have issued. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon po, Mia Alonso po from UNTV News. Sir, dahil po diba magkasunod po ito sa pagdating from Cebu, La Union, and then ito nga po sa Davao. In 1 week lang po, may nakita po ba kayo na pattern na po ng mga ito? At para po kasi lumalakas din, going po na 6.9, kasi ito po 7.4, may mapipredict na po ba kung masusundan pa po ito? Or gano'n po kalakas po sa hali?
Okay, so wala po tayong nakikitang pattern. Again, these are all normal activities. The Philippines is very much active tectonically, and we have more than 180 active fault segments, and we also have 6 trenches. And there's always this possibility na magkakaroon ng paglindol sunod-sunod. In fact, every day we record at least 30 earthquakes a day coming from different active fault segments of the country, as well as coming from the different trenches. Just that minsan lalakas and maramdaman ng mga tao. But again, karamihan dito ay mga mahina lamang. So in this case, in 1 week, nagkakaroon po tayo ng malalakas na paglindol, but then these are all coincidence because, again, as I've mentioned, the Philippines is very much active seismically, and we have many active faults, and we have 6 trenches and 180 active faults.
Different earthquake generators po ang nagdulot ng mga independent events na ito. Hindi po connected ang isa-isa. Okay?
Since na-mention po na hindi siya connected, gusto ko lang din itanong, since ang maraming pangamba ng mga Pilipino, ang inisip nila is each earthquakes that we've experienced in the past week ay interconnected. Meron po ba kayong mensahe towards them, especially their concern as well, especially here in Metro Manila regarding the possible na paggalaw ng West Valley Fault regarding sa Levy?
Okay, so naiintindihan ko yung ating mga kababayan kasi nagkakaroon na tayo ng disaster fatigue, from yung typhoon and then sunod, meron tayong volcanic eruptions and then earthquakes. But again, these are all not connected. Yung paggalaw ng ating mga active faults yung mga active faults natin are independent from each other unless they're very close to each other. Pwedeng magkaroon ng what we call the stress transfer. But in this case, masyado na pong malayo from Cebu to La Union and from Mindanao. Wala po silang connection. Again, wag po silang matakot. Instead na matakot yung ating mga kabayan, they have to prepare for it. We have to accept our reality that we're part of the Pacific Ring of Fire. And every now and then, we will be jolted by earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and tsunamis. So instead of panicking, instead na napapadala tayo sa takot, we have to prepare. Kung wala mang mangyari, well and good. But kung mangyari, magkaroon ng malakas na paglindol, at least we're prepared for it.
Thank you. After concern.
Sir, Edwin Porosa from Visual Reach. Sir, yung sa Cebu, bagong trench, bago po, brother, yung nakita natin, yung Philippine trench, ng history natin. Pero kahit po incident, sir, paano natin ma-explain bakit halos magkakasabay na malalakas yung building para natin ma-explain dun sa problem.
Okay, again, yung sinabi ko na these are all independent active fault. These are all independent earthquake generators. Wala pong kinalaman yung isa sa yung Philippine Trench doon sa Bogo Bay Fault. Again, independent po sila, magkakalayo. And yung activity ng isa will not trigger or will not induce the activity of the other one. So wala po silang kinalaman.
Thank you. Sorry, sir, siya muna.
Gerald Tule po ng PCX Chinese. Sir, makailang araw, linggo or buwan magtatagal yung mga aftershocks? Since kanina nasa hundreds na po yung aftershocks.
Okay, so the aftershocks would normally last for several days to several weeks. Ganito may convention tayo. It's a general law, but just to give you an idea, this is what we call the Omori law, the decay of the aftershocks. On the first day, for example, you have 2,000 aftershocks. Doon sa Bogo Bay, yung sa Bogo Bay fault earthquake, we have 1,800 aftershocks. So assume na lang natin na 2,000 kasi malapit lang naman. So on the 10th day, that would be 1/10 of the original number of aftershocks. So if it's 2,000, magiging around 2,000, magiging 200, between 200 to say 400 or 500. Then on the 100th day, it would be around 20 to 50 aftershocks. So habang tumatagal naman, humihina yung mga aftershocks natin. And halos yung mga instrumento na lang natin yung makakaramdam. In fact, dito sa Bogo Bay earthquake, out of the more than 10,000 aftershocks, hindi man lang umabot yung 50 aftershocks na naramdaman ng mga tao.
Yung range po?
Yung range, the maximum aftershock that pwedeng ma-generate would be 1 magnitude lower than the main shock. So in the case of this Davao earthquake, it's magnitude 7.4, you would expect aftershocks to be, the aftershock at most to be magnitude 6.4, around that number. So far, ang record natin kanina is magnitude 5.8. Sana hindi tataas pa sa magnitude 5.8.
Maraming salamat.
So before we proceed, sir, sagutin ko lang po yung ibang tanong dito sa Zoom, no? Reuters by Miguel, he was asking, will we ask Evox, will the warning be lifted soon? So sagutin ko na lang po, we wait until 2 hours na ma-lift yung warning. So that's around 1:43 after assessment po and coordination with the LGU. Maglalabas po kami ng cancellation of the tsunami warning. And then there's another question, maybe it was answered a while ago, but just to reiterate, may we know po if may na-record na tsunami, so what area? According to our record of the sea level monitoring station in London, it's approximately 0.30 meters
Or 30 centimeters.
centimeters. We will coordinate with the Office of Civil Defense for actual observations of the tsunami wave. Okay? Yes, sir.
Yes, good afternoon, sir. About TV5. Sir, can we get a confirmation doon sa nagsasurface sa video sa Mati na mataas yung data?
Pwede yung mangyari yung matras yung dagat because of the strong shaking, pwede kasi magkaroon ng oscillation, sea level oscillation. Parang tubig sa, say, putitin na container. During strong shaking, kakaroon ng, pwede umatras.
But
Pwede.
it causes also panic, sir, on social media, even the residents there. Anong implications nito?
Okay, so that's the reason why sa tingin ko, kailangan pa rin natin kaigtingin yung ating information dissemination campaigns, especially along coastal communities. Kasi kung nakita nilang nag-recede na yung tubig, instead of, taking out their cellphone and magkaroon ng Facebook Live, dapat tumakbo na sila. Nakita kasi natin, nag-recede yung tubig, yun lang. Dapat, paano kung malaking tsunami wave na pala yung bumalik. So, naging casualty pa sila. So, yan yung palagi natin paalala sa ating mga kababayan. Dapat alam nila yung natural signs of impending local tsunami. First, there is a strong shaking na halos hindi ka na makatayo. And then, there is, you would notice that the sea level would recede or biglang bumagsak, or there is a roaring sound coming from the sea. Kahit isa man lang dito sa tatlo yung maranasan while nasa coastal community, then you have to move right away and go to a higher place kasi baka ang babalik noon would be the matataas na tsunami waves. So, yun po.
Yes, Doc, you mentioned information dissemination. Can we also debunk this information or false information of makalat na someone can detect yung possible earthquake na sa mga susunod? Kasi they're also connecting this one to the big one.
Yes, that's right. Ito yung, again, marami kumakalat sa social media. Ito yung nangyari kapag there is an, like say, big earthquake, big event. Everyone nagiging earthquake expert, naging fault experts, naging active fault experts. So, kung ano yung iba naman, naniniwala sa mga manghuhula. Again, there's no scientific evidence na yung earthquakes can be predicted. Earthquakes, there's no technology yet as of the moment that can exactly tell us when an earthquake would happen. So kapag may mga tanggap kayo na mga forwarded posts about magkakaroon ng paglindol the next few days, ay hindi po yan totoo. Kasi po wala pong technology right now that can tell us exactly when an earthquake would happen. Even yung sinasabi na unusual animal behavior ay hindi po yan totoo. There's no scientific basis for that.
Yeah, i-summarize ko lang po ng dalawa po yung magandang mensahe Director Bacol po dito. Una po yung earthquake prediction. Wala pong ganon. Wala pong technology that could tell us when exactly and where exactly an earthquake will happen. So please help PVOX in disseminating the correct information. Yung pong mga big one na yan, those are studies, scientifically generated earthquake and tsunami scenarios. Meron pong big one ang bawat region, but when exactly they will happen, hindi po natin yun alam. Pangalawa po, yung tsunami, ang maganda po, meron tayong natural warning signs. So what we tell the general public, especially the ones living in the coastal area, na meron tatlong senyales bago dumating ang alon. Una, yung malakas na lindol, katulad po na nangyari ngayon. Pangalawa, yung pag-atras ng tubig. At pangatlo, yung kakaibang tunog. So those are the three important signs that the residents should remember. And they don't need to wait for warning from PVOX or local government. Basta po, meron na silang nakita, naranasan, or naramdaman, narinig ng mga senyales, they should immediately evacuate to higher ground.
Ay, Sir Del Cordero po kami. Sir, 1 feet lower pa rin po ba than the main shot na 7.4 o around 96.4 ang inaasahan ng pinakamalakas na aftershock na pwedeng dumama at maramdaman mo.
Yes, again, yung maximum na aftershock na pwede nating asahan would be just 6.4. But as of now, it's 5.8. But again, as I've mentioned, it's 1 degree lower than the main shock. So we won't be surprised if there's a magnitude 6.4. But sana hindi naaabot sa ganyan.
Okay. Bago magpasiglang ito muna ni Luma, tanong po ni Sir JP ng GMA News. Tama po ba na ang lindol ngayon, sir, sa Davao Oriental ay dulot ng paggalaw ng Philippine Trench? And if yes, where exactly? That's the first question. Second, gusto po nilang malaman yung mga locations po ng mga major faults.
Okay, sige. Location ng mga major faults, actually, if you're interested, you can search this one sa Hazard Hunter PH. Hindi lang active faults natin, also mga hazards associated with earthquakes. We also have volcano-related hazards, as well as hydromet hazards na nanggaling pa yung mapa, nanggaling from MGB and Pag-asa. So again, if you're interested to know the location of the active faults, it's available online. And also, yung tama kayo, yung source ng lindol kanina would be the Philippine Trench, and yung
Tuturo mo.
yan, yung
Segment.
PT5. And then yung location niya would be ito yung epicenter. Nasaan yung epicenter natin? Okay, so it's 43 kilometers north, 87 east of Manay in Davao Oriental. So yun po yung epicenter ng lindol kanina. Yun yung location ng lindol.
Paano sa bagal PRDUs? Doc, yung when you lowered the tsunami warning po, does this mean na safe na bumalik yung mga Pinoy's evacuation because of the tsunami warning?
Yes, pwede na, but again, there could be yung mga residual sea level oscillation. So,
Generally, pa rin po advice.
hindi, pwede lang bumalik, but then they have to watch out for, like sea level oscillations.
Ano po mo, kahit i-expound naman po dun sa binanggit mo kanina yung stress factor, it's also important to the public kasi yung ibang kinokonekta yung Bogo Bay fault dito sa bench na Gumala or stretch na cause ng earthquake.
Okay, so we have what we call stress transfer. So when a fault moves, it releases stress, and the stress will be transferred to in nearby. The word here is to a nearby active fault. So nangyari ito nung October 2019 Cotabato earthquake series natin. We have more than 4 magnitude 6 and above earthquakes in 1 month, in a span of 1 month. Kasi yung location ng mga fault segments natin doon, masyadong malapit, just 5 kilometers apart. So yung stress na was released by one fault segment was absorbed by the next, and then also it induced an earthquake for that segment. And that's what we call stress transfer. So magandang analogy yan. Kapag ako pinagalitan ako ng misis ko, so na-stress ako, so pagdating ko sa office ko, kaya pagagalitan ko rin ang office mates ko. So that's what we call stress transfer.
Joel Bren po from DWIC. Ito po bang nangyari ngayon sa Manay, Davao Oriental, sa Bogo City, and even sa Baguio City, is kasama po sa active contact natin?
Yung sa Manay, nanggaling po yan sa Philippine Trench. Yung sa Bogo City, ang nag-generate po niyan would be the Bogo Bay Fault. And then yung sa Baguio, most likely it's the Philippine fault that generated that event.
So kung ano na po ito, Doc, ibig sabihin may pasok na wala na ito?
Not necessarily, hindi naman ibig sabihin na dahil gumalaw to, gagalaw din yung iba. Again, yung sinasabi din natin na stress transfer would be just for faults that are very close to each other. And hinog na rin sila to move. Just that na-trigger sila by the release of the stress from one fault and then inabsorb nila.
Kung sa nangyari sa Davao Oriental na 7.6, gaano po pa, 7.4, gaano po palawak yung aftershocks na mangyayari? At ilang lugar yung positive po na ma-apektuhan, ilang lalawigan, yung positive na ng aftershocks?
Okay, so yung aftershocks natin, it was felt as far as Roa City in Capiz. That's more than 500 kilometers. It was felt as far as sa south naman, General Santos City at around 210 kilometers. And in Zamboanga City, 540 kilometers. So yun po yung lawak ng aftershocks na record po natin. That's not surprising kasi yung sa Bogo Bay Fault na earthquake, it was felt as far as Davao del Sur, which is more than 400 kilometers away.
So that's ibig sabihin, hindi mo natatamaan ng aftershocks kasi malakas dito yung aftershocks. Kailangan mag-handa.
Dito sa mga malalayong lugar ay mahina po yung no, I mean, I was referring to the intensity, not the aftershocks. So the aftershock would converge around the main shock. So yung nabanggit ko ng mga lugar kanina, yung Zamboanga, yung Cotabato, yung Capiz, yun yung kung saan nakaramdam nung shaking. But for the aftershock, this would converge around the main shock.
Bago po yan sagutin, so reiterate ko lang po yung mga messages, no? Yung stress transfer po ay nangyayari lang po yan sa mga faults na classified as active and they are sabi ko, on the verge or right na to move.
Yeah, that's right.
These faults, they have to be geographically close to each other. Pwede po, fault sa Cebu ay matitrigger niya or na-trigger niya yung Philippine fault sa may La Union that caused the earthquake felt in Baguio. So yun po yung paglilinaw doon. And then yung aftershocks ay nangyayari po around. Ganun po yun. Along Philippine Trench, marami talagang lindol dyan. Pero pag nakita po, and they are located close to the epicenter of the main shock, they are classified as the aftershocks of the event. And kailangan mo, ang magnitude nila ay hindi po tataas sa 6.4. Kasi kung tumaas na po yung sa 6.4, ibang event na po yun. We consider that as a different event. Okay? Yes, sir.
Johnson po from ABS-CBN. Sir, explain naman what's the difference between a fault line and a Philippine Trench?
Okay, so yung fault natin is our fracture or break sa crash that would di-displace ng ating mga bato. Yung trench naman, yung seafloor natin, gumigit-git, papailalim. We have this what the line doon sa dagat natin, gumigit-git yung seafloor natin doon sa trench. And as a result ng paggigit-git niya, nagkakaroon ng friction. And once the friction is released, yun yung nagkakaroon ng paglindol.
Wala, sir, difference between halimbawa, mas destructive akong gagalaw ang fault line o ang Philippine Trench?
Kapag generally mga trenches natin are capable of generating great earthquakes. We say great earthquakes are earthquakes greater than 8. And yung mga faults naman natin, yung magnitude na pwede niya i-generate would be based on its length. So the longer the fault, the higher the magnitude it would be able to generate.
Sir, last na lang, based on your observation, dun sa mga naglabas ng video, social media, yun bang behavior or yung reaction ng mga nilindol ay sa tingin nyo ay nagre-reflect kung ano yung natutunan natin sa earthquake drill or kulang na kulang pa tayo?
Okay, may mga, well, there's still a room for improvement. Pero may mga on the positive side, may mga nakita naman tayong, nag-paid off yung ginagawa nating earthquake drill doon sa Bogobi. Earthquake, may nakita tayong mga bata na sa computer shop na duck over and hold. Although you might want to ask, anong ginagawa nila sa computer shop at 10 o'clock in the evening? But of course, that's beside the point. May mga adults din tayo na nagpapanik, tatakbuhan during the shaking, which is hindi natin na-recommend. Kasi po, kapag tatakbo ka during the shake, baka pwede kang matapilok, and then yung nasa likod mo, madaganan ka pa kasi matumba. Doon naman sa earthquake yesterday sa La Union, may nakita tayong mga high school students, nag-duck over and hold. And they, after the shaking, lumabas sila kalmado. So magandang, again, ito yung nakapagbigay sa atin ng inspiration to do more kasi nakita natin yung effect. So but again, there's still a room for improvement.
Thank you for your question, sir. So yung fault po, we just call it fault, not fault, yeah. Not fault land. So that's something that we learned and unlearned this morning. We just call it fault. And it's different from trench kasi the trench offshore or nasa dagat. Pero may faults pa rin na nasa dagat katulad po ng Bogobi fault. Tapos, ang lindol mo, tandaan nyo, or magnitude ng lindol, lakas ng lindol, depende po yan sa haba ng fault o trench na gumalaw. The longer the fault,
Bigger the
The
magnitude.
bigger the magnitude of the earthquake, generally po ganun. So since mahaba po ang mga trenches natin, we expect them to generate higher magnitude earthquake. Pero since nandun po sila malayo sa dagat, pagdating po ng enerhiya sa lupa, medyo mas mahina na siya. Compared po sa coast, nasa lupa, nandun yung mga tao, although maliit lang yung magnitude ng earthquake, ay malakas pa po, lalo na yung mga shallow earthquakes, malakas pa rin po siyang nararamdaman. Tapos maganda po yung tanong ni Sir, no, enough na po ba ang preparedness na ginagawa natin, yung mga dam overall? It's a good start, but just remember, preparedness is a way of living, no? Yun po yung key message namin dito, na araw-araw po natin siyang ginagawa. And we also highlight that box na ang lindol po ay hindi po nakakamatay. Ang nakakamatay po ay pagbuo ng mga gusali. So, we want to encourage the local government, the concerned government agencies, and even the private sector, the individuals, to make sure that we follow codes or standards ng building construction. No? Meron na po tayo yan. So, yun po yung lagi namin sinasabi. Structural integrity po ng mga buildings ang sagot po sa zero casualty or minimal po na impacts of earthquake.
So, another provisory. Sinabi niyo kanina 2019 nagkaroon ng 4 na magnitude 6 or magnitude 6 in 1 month.
Yeah, October 2019 in Cotabato.
Yung historical data, ang pinakita sa atin, gano'ng padalas nangyayari sa isang taon, sa isang buwan, sunod-sunod yung malakas na yung
Okay, so itong ganito, I think it only happened in 2019 na sunod-sunod yung malalaking lindol natin in a span of 1 month in almost on the same area. But every year naman we record annually we record more than 12,000 earthquakes. So yun ba yung
So, sir, masabi ko natin, sir, na medyo unusual kung gano'n kung sunod-sunod or talagang pure coincidence?
yung ngayon na sunod-sunod?
Yes, sir, yung mga ganitong klase.
Okay. Again, as I mentioned, coincidence lang to kasi we have, as I mentioned, we have several active faults and we also have several trenches and there's always this possibility na pwede silang magsabay-sabay na tumanaw.
Balikan ko lang po yung Zoom, no? Dami na natin tanong na ipon. So may question po dito si Sir Ed na Business World. Paano po ba natin ikukumpara ang lakas ng lindol na naramdaman this morning sa Davao compared po dun sa naging lindol sa Cebu noong September 30?
Okay, so yung Mag 6.9 of course is much lower than the Mag 7.4. But it's just that yung mas destructive yung Mag 6.9 for one, it's shallow earthquake and yung fault mismo transects populated areas. Dito naman it's Mag 7.4 but it's offshore nasa dagat and then it's deeper than the Bogo Bay fault earthquake. It's 23 kilometers. And ang nangyari kasi niyan, yung seismic energy na as it travels from the source to the surface, nag-diffuse yung energy, it weakens. So say for instance, Mag 6.9 and 23 kilometers. Sabihin natin 6.9 yung nangyari sa Davao and 23 kilometers. So as it travels from the source up to the surface, humina na siya. Now, if it's 5 kilometers from the source to the surface, pagdating niya sa ibabaw, since short lang yung distance na nablagan ng seismic energy natin, malakas pa rin siya pagdating sa ibabaw.
Okay. We have questions here, sir, related to monitoring. Maybe we can ask Dr. Richa, who's joining us via Zoom, to answer the question.
Kasi,
Dr. Rich, are you with us? Good afternoon, sir. Ang tanong po ng ating kasamahan sa Zoom ay, we understand.
Sorry, Miss Charm, nag-echo, hindi ko na dinig yung tanong.
We understand understand that predicting the exact timing of an earthquake is possible. However, what is the single biggest technological upgrade, be it advanced deep sensors, geodesy, or AI-driven pattern analysis, that Feebox believes would most significantly enhance our long-term forecasting capabilities? And what specific funding or international partnership is currently needed to acquire? Para pong thesis na to. Okay. Hindi ko ulitin. Ano po ba, in short po, sa mga technological advancements na possible, ano daw po ang tingin nyo, ang pinaka makakatulong sa atin upang ma-improve ang ating earthquake monitoring? And who are the partners that we can collaborate with to do this?
Okay. Sa ngayon po, sa instrumento muna natin, ang ating pong instrumento ay world class. So ibig sabihin po, mga modernong instrumento na po ang ating ginagamit. So kung ano po ginagamit sa US at Japan, meron din po tayo dyan. And patuloy po ang pag-expand ng ating mga monitoring instruments sa tulong maganda po yung support ng ating pong sa gobyerno, and nandiyan din po yung ating modernization law. So in the next few years po, palalawakin pa po natin ang ating mga monitoring stations para po makapagbigay lalo ng isang accurate at mabilis na impormasyon related po sa lindol at tsunami. Isa pa po doon, marami po tayong mga kasama ngayon na nasa ibang bansa, nag-aaral po sila para po masilinangin pa ang kanilang kaalaman tungkol po sa lindol at mga tsunami. So makakaasa po kayo na patuloy po ang pag-unlad ng modernize po ng ating pong mga kagamitan at ganun po sa ating mga kasamahan sa hanap buhay.
Thank you, Dr. Michelle. May isa pa kayong tanong, huwag ka po muna aalis. Related din po ito sa instrumentation and our earthquake monitoring operations, no? Regarding po sa speed and precision of earthquake location, given that deep-seated earthquakes often cause significant damages, what is the feasibility and estimated cost of deploying seismic sensors at significantly greater depth? Para ito po yung nasa ilalim ng tubig, yung mga pwedeng meron dedicated borehole or deep sea ocean bottom seismographs. Magkano daw po ang cost nun? Lalo na po sa Mindanao, offshore of Mindanao, sa Philippine Trench, para daw po ma-reduce ang earthquake, maging mas accurate ang earthquake location and yung time for early warning that we give to the coastal community.
Okay. Doon po sa borehole, kung tama po yung dinig ko, ito po yung mga instrumento na inihukay po natin ng malalim, mga pwede po umabot ng 30 to 70 meters. Maganda pong balita, meron na po tayong mga instrumento na mga boreholes, pero konti pa po yan. Ang maganda po dito ay patuloy pa po natin itong dadagdagan. Ang advantage lang po ng borehole ay mas nababawasan po yung ingay na naidudulot ng mga activities sa taas, sa surface. Nakaka-apekto po kasi sa records natin yung mga activity, yung mga human activities like yung mga transportations, ganyan. Kaya po karamihan ng mga instrumento natin nasa yung mga sinasabi nating matahimik na lugar. Pero pagka po kasi borehole, ang maitutulong po niya, nababawasan yung ingay, mas maganda po yung signal o yung quality ng data na kukuha natin. With regards naman po sa instrumento na ilalagay natin sa dagat, medyo may kamahalan po ito lalo na sa pag-i-instilla at pag-maintenance. So mahal po yan, pwede po umabot ng millions of dollars. Pero po ang ginagawa po natin sa ngayon ay may mga mag-i-install po tayo ng mga instrumento as much as possible malapit po sa mga dagat. So at least pagka po nagkaroon tulad po ng nangyari ngayon, sa earthquake natin, kung mas malapit po natin sa dagat, mailagay mga instrumento, so mas madali po nilang madedetect yung signal mula po dito sa lindol. So marami po tayong ilalagay pong mga instrumento at ganoon din po yung tinatawag nating sea level monitoring stations. So yan po yung makakatulong po sa atin sa pagmamonitor, lalong-lalo na kung mga earthquakes ay manggagaling sa mga trenches na nakapaligid po sa ating bansa.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sevilla. So, ang sinasabi lang po namin ay ang instrumento po ng PVOX for earthquake monitoring and sama na rin po natin yung volcano monitoring ay at par. So, advanced technology, same with what other nations and countries have. Tama po ba yan, Director Bacolod?
Yes, that's right. But again, it's still not enough. Again, for the size of the Philippines, pinakita ko nila, we only have 125 seismic stations. But for the size of the Philippines, should be around 300. Taiwan, which is 1/10 the size of the Philippines, has around 290 seismic stations. And every year, nadagdagan ng 4 yung seismic stations natin. So, 300 minus 125, that would be 175. And if you divide that by 4, that would take more than 40 years for us to be able to complete the ideal number of seismic stations in the Philippines. Good thing is that we have the PVOX modernization, which was signed middle of this year by our president. And instead of waiting for 40 years for us to be able to complete the ideal number of seismic stations, we will do it in the next 5 years.
So, we really call for funding para sa mga science agencies natin.
Okay, so
Improve our information.
that's right. And part of that would be answered by the PVOX modernization.
Salamat po, Director Bacolod. Meron lang pong panang dito no, sa ating Zoom. Ni Ms. Dr. Ruby Cristobal ng Radio Henyo DZRH will the vote po be affected by the movement of the Philippine Trench. So sagutin ko na po, Ma'am Ruby, Dr. hindi po. They are independent earthquake generators. And then meron pa pong tanong dito, Doc, it's around 1:43 na po. Ano na po ang update natin sa lifting ng tsunami warning natin?
Okay, so supposed to be naka-lift na siya. So siguro yung mga kasama natin dun sa data receiving center right now, busy na. I think we have already prepared the cancellation of the early warning. So baka na-lift na niya. Kasi andito ako ngayon, so hindi ko alam kung. But I'm sure since yung SOP natin is up 2 hours after, ililift na nila.
So rest assured po, pag available naman po yan, send namin yan as soon as possible via our Facebook page, our X. So make sure kayo po ay followers ng aming mga social media accounts and po of course sa website ng PVOX, meron din po yan. We still have questions from
Yes, Director, mahaba lang po. May initial information po kung gaano kahaba.
Yung gaano kahaba yung lindol?
Duration.
Ay, yung duration, yung nakuha ko kanina, yung may staff kayo nasa field, umabot ng 25 seconds yung shaking. So yun yung report niya sa atin, 25 seconds. But may nagsabi naman na more than 30 seconds yung shaking na naramdaman nila.
O hindi po pare-pareho yan, depende yan sa lugar. Kung malambot ang lupa, tumatagal po yung shaking. Kung matigas yung bato, yan, mabilis lang po dumadaan ang seismic waves. Mabilis lang nilang mararamdaman yung gravity. Okay. Any more questions?
Mr. Santos from DCW. Director, medyo dikit na yung 7.4 sa 7.2 the big one dito sa Benedict Manila. Sa tingin niyo ba, ano bang tamang term? Paghanda, pangamba yung mga kababayan natin, paghandaan. Kasi sunod-sunod po kung bagyo tapos dapat.
Okay, so kailangan talaga natin maghanda. Again, for the magnitude 7.2, it can happen anytime. Yung sinasabi natin we're ripe for the big one kasi nga based sa pag-aaral natin, it would happen every 400 to 600 years. And the last time it moved was in 1658. Now, if we take the lower boundary, which is 400 years, that would be 1658 plus 400 years, that would be 2058. So, of course, it will not happen by 2058. Hindi naman tayo sigurado mangyari yan. By 2058, it could be earlier, or it could be later, or it could even be on the upper boundary, which is 600 years. And if we consider the upper boundary, that would be 200 years from now. So, we have to assume that it will happen. Kasi kapag iisipin natin na, matagal pa naman yan, it will happen on the upper boundary. What if it will happen on the lower boundary, which is anytime soon? So, we really have to prepare for it. And one of the preparedness na pwede natin magawa is to make sure that pag nagpapagawa tayo ng bahay, we follow the minimum engineering standards, we follow the building code. Kasi kahit ma-perfect pa natin yung duct cover and home, kung mag-duct cover and home tayo sa bahay na hindi naman structurally sound, magkukulaps pa rin yung bahay. So, hindi pa rin effective yung duct cover and home. The duct cover and home will only protect you from falling debris. Yung mga aparador na hindi naka-fix sa walls or yung mga, for example, chandelier. But ang assumption doon is hindi magkukulaps yung bahay. So, first and foremost, you have to make sure that you follow the building code, you follow the minimum engineering standards.
Thank you, Director Bacalbon. So, since pinag-uusapan na rin po natin ang preparedness, I would like to take this opportunity to promote our activity, the World Tsunami Awareness Day. This is the UN declaration that every November 5, we observe the World Tsunami Awareness Day. So, ang gagawin ko ng PBOX sa October 25. Tandaan niyo po, October 25, magkakaroon po ng Tsunami Run for Safety. Isang fun run, isang advocacy run na gaganapin po sa Vigan City. So, inaanyayahan po namin kayo sumali. Inaanyayahan po namin kayong i-promote yung activity na yon. Bukod po doon, we have the 4th quarter nationwide simultaneous earthquake drill or NSED na sinasagawa po sa pangunguna ng Office of Civil Defense. Ito naman po ay gagawin sa November 6 sa Santa Catalina sa Ilocos School. So, ganun din po, katulad ng ginawa sa 3rd quarter, dito po sa libingan ng mga bayani, dinala po natin ang 4th quarter NSED with a component of tsunami or tsunami preparedness scenario doon po sa Santa Catalina, Ilocos Sur. Okay, mainit-init po, nagbalita.
Okay, so nag-issue na po tayo ng cancellation of tsunami warning. Okay, so ang nakalagay dito, a major earthquake occurred in Manay, Davao Oriental on October 10, 2025 at 9:43 a.m. Philippine Standard Time with a depth of 23 kilometers and magnitude 7.4. DSTP-VOX issued tsunami warning for all coastal communities in the provinces of Davao Oriental, Dinagat Islands, Surigao del Norte, Surigao del Sur, Leyte, Southern Leyte, and Eastern Samar, recommending immediate evacuation in these areas. Tandag Surigao del Sur Level Monitoring Station for Tsunami Detection has recorded a tsunami wave height of around 30 centimeters at 10:20 a.m. With this, any effects due to the tsunami warning have largely passed, and therefore DSTP-VOX has now cancelled all tsunami warnings issued for this event. So this will be the final tsunami information issued for this event.
Thank you, Director Bacalbon. Ang kopya po ng ating
Cancel at 1:43 p.m.
Ang kopya po ng cancellation of tsunami warning ay matatagpuan niyo po sa website ng PBOX, sa social media, at ipapadala po namin ito share namin ito sa ating viral group. We have one more question, sir.
Meron latest figures. Ilan so far after the 7.4.
Okay, sige. Wala.
Sige, sir, babalikan namin kayo dyan. Yung bilang,
Okay, bibilangin pa lang namin.
Bilangan po namin isang count.
Okay, sige.
Any more, sir?
Sige.
Go ahead.
Officially po, pwede nang sumali yung mga nag-evacuate.
Yes, pwede po silang bumalik.
Okay, ang mag-a-announce po nito or katuloy natin na mag-a-announce sa local government ay ang DILG po. So based on our cancellation of tsunami warning, they will issue an advisory to let the communities go back to their homes. Meron pa po bang katanungan? Sa ating Zoom? Study? Okay. So, bilang pagtatapos, Director Bacalbon, isang maikling closing message po para sa ating mga kababayan.
Okay, maraming pong salamat sa inyo sa pagdalo dito sa instant press po natin. Papasalamat po kami sa inyo kasi kayo po ang kaakapay namin para mag-debunk yung mga fake news na kumakalat. So, tulungan niyo po kami kasi this would only create panic. Para naman sa ating mga kababayan, again, alam ko na nagkaroon na po tayo ng disaster fatigue from typhoons to earthquakes to volcanic eruptions. Pero hang on lang po tayo kasi again, this is our reality, our part of the Pacific Ring of Fire. We have to be resilient and at the same time, we have to be prepared. Kasi nga po, expect na po natin yan na meron tayong paglindol every now and then, meron tayong volcanic eruptions, and because nasa typhoon belt tayo, expect na po natin yan. But may nabasa na ako na text doon na parang we are helpless in the midst of this earthquake now. We're not helpless. May magagawa po tayo. And preparedness is the best course of action. Si Noah nga, when he constructed the ark, nagtatawanan siya. And it wasn't raining when he built the ark. And nung nangyari na yung umulan, na-save siya his family and of course the animals because not-prepared siya. So it's the same thing. Kung mangyari yung, kapag hindi mangyari yung mga sakuna, then well and good. Pero kapag mangyari ito, at least we're prepared for it. Yun lang.
Salamat, Director Rocolbo. So, update lang po sa aftershocks, no? As of 1:50 in the afternoon, we have recorded 213 aftershocks. So, para po magkaroon po kayo ng regular update, please make sure to follow our social media accounts, follow our website. Ulitin ko po, 213 aftershocks, recorded aftershocks as of 1:50 in the afternoon. Ang DOST Box po ay nagpapasalamat po sa mga kasamahan natin sa media na dumalo po na pumunta pa dito sa office namin at sa mga partners namin join us via Zoom. Our media partners who also join us via Zoom. Maraming salamat po. Good afternoon to everyone.
Yes,
Okay, Phil.